Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BMN 612 seminar on South and Southeast Buddhism. Today is June 7th, 2021. Our ninth session today, which means that next week we'll be having the final exam. That is June 14, Monday, the June 14th, we will have the final exam. Today is the last lectures, actually. Next week, we will do the review and then the final exam. I hope everyone is doing okay. And today, the lecture is on Buddhism in Cambodia, Myanmar, and Vietnam. Because according to our plan, we were paying attention to the spread of Buddhism in South and Southeast Asia. So we looked at different countries, India to begin with, and then we moved on to Sri Lanka, Thailand, and the main traditions which are available and prevalent in these countries. And also now, today we will be looking at three most important countries in that region where Buddhism has played a significant role in forming their culture and their way of life. Basically, we are talking about the Theravada Buddhist influence in these countries. So these countries have been recognized by the world and by everybody as Theravada countries. To name them again, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar or Burma, Cambodia, Laos, part of Vietnam, not the whole. The very significant thing in Vietnam is in that country you find both Theravada and Mahayana, mixed together in a very high, proportionately in very high percentage available in Vietnam. Very interesting phenomenon there. Of course, in America also you find all kinds of Buddhism, Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, all kinds of things prevalent in here, even though it is a very small percentage. You find everything in a fruit salad-like manner, mixed, mingled together. So anyway, let us pay our attention to Cambodia. Cambodia is, next to, adjacent to Vietnam in the map, and which has a long history, and recognized as a Buddhist country. Over 97% of the population, 97% of the population is Buddhist. So very high percentage. Perhaps the largest percentage-wise, the largest Buddhist community in the world as a country. And some people argue, some people are of the opinion that Cambodia received Buddhism as far back as Asoka's time in India. See, you see this argument in considering the other countries too, because Asoka's missionary work was so gigantic that it reached many parts of the world. That's why people like to connect the Buddhist influence in their countries from that time on. Suvarnabhumi, last time we were talking about Thailand, and also in Myanmar, also the same story, and in Cambodia, also the same thing. But they do not have either literary or epigraphical, inscriptional evidence, archaeological evidence to prove this fact. Whereas in Sri Lanka, we do have all kinds of evidence to show that Asoka's missionary work reached there, and they were able to establish Buddhism in that island. Anyway, there is an argument that Buddhism reached into Cambodia during the time of the Asoka Empire, or perhaps later. Anyhow, for sure, within the 3rd and 4th centuries, 2, 3, 4, those centuries, Cambodia received Buddhism from where? That is the issue. From, I think it is from India, because Indian traders went to business in that region, and with them they were able to transmit Buddhism to that area. So it's very interesting thing in the Buddhist history. When you talk about the Central Asia and China, all those countries, it is because of traders, merchants, that Buddhism went to other lands. You know, you have read in many places, Silk Route. Silk Road, it is a very big, very long business route that existed in the history, even today. And along the Silk Route, merchants, businessmen were traveling back and forth, and they were able to carry the message of the Buddha. Most of them were Buddhist, and sometimes the caravansary monasteries, you call them caravansary monasteries, they went in caravans and they took Buddhist artifacts as well as monks. In their caravan, they had monks. So the monks established temples on the way, and the travelers were able to visit the temples and have blessings when they were engaged in business, trading. That's a different story. So what we are saying here is that in Cambodia, perhaps the first introduction of Buddhism took place with the traders, Indian traders. And the other important thing is, it is not just Buddhism that they received from Indian traders, because in India at the time, Buddhism as well as Hinduism was so powerful. So some of the traders don't just take it, all traders were Buddhist. Some traders were Hindu followers, Vishnu and Shiva, following the gods of Vishnu and Shiva. So that influence came more powerful than Buddhism. So what is interesting here is that in Cambodia, Buddhism and Hinduism mixed together, mingled together, and created a new style of practice over there. So you see lot of historical buildings, archaeological remains, which shows that Buddhism and Hinduism mingled in that country. A very famous Buddhist monument in in Cambodia is Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat is a very huge temple complex where you find Buddhism and Hinduism, Hindu and Buddhist art mixed over there. So it is better for us to believe that Hindu influence as well as Buddhist influence is prevalent in the Cambodian history. So it has some taste, some flavor of both traditions. And anyhow, in the Cambodian history, it is said that after 13th century, 1200 something, in the 13th century, actually, Theravada Buddhism became the state religion in Cambodia, which is a very significant historical event. In the 13th century, Theravada Buddhism became the state religion. The government accepted Theravada Buddhism as the state religion. Before that, they had Mahayana Buddhism and mixed with other Indian traditions like Vajrayana, Mantrayana, Tantrayana, all kinds of things. So Theravada was also there, but not powerful. And in the 13th century, the state announced that their state religion is none other than Theravada Buddhism. So afterwards, in that country, in Cambodia, Theravada Buddhism has been prevalent and powerful, influential in many different ways. As I told you, 97% of the population is Buddhist, so it has a powerful presence of Theravada Buddhism. And you know, in the modern history, of course, Cambodia had very bad political issues in 1965, between 65, 75 the time. Khmer Rouge, the very strong, I don't know what kind of word I should use. The Khmer Rouge, that rule, he was so aggressive in, you know, killing monks and other things. So Buddhism had a very big challenge during that period. Anyhow, afterwards, they were able to pick up again, and now Buddhism flourishes in that country. To introduce you the background about Cambodia. And then a very interesting thing again is in the 13th century. I told you that in the 13th century that state religion was recognized as Theravada Buddhism. A man from Cambodia was sent to Sri Lanka to learn Buddhism over there. He went to Sri Lanka. His name is Tamalinda, yes. He went to Sri Lanka and he was staying in Sri Lanka for some time, long time. And he became a monk over there. He became a full ordained monk and learned the text and all kinds of things, and went back to Cambodia and established the Theravada, Sihala Theravada Buddhism from Sri Lanka. So these countries have very good relationship in their history. So that is the background about Cambodia. And in Myanmar, today we call Myanmar, but it was earlier Burma. Burma also, you know, it is also recognized as one of the Buddhist countries, which has a very big population. I mean, a very higher percentage of population over 90% of them are Buddhist. We are in a way seen as very traditional. A lot of monks in there. I think the most number of monks, the majority of monks in the world, you find in Burma. Over 300,000 monks, nearly 300,000 monks. And in Myanmar also the story is like they believe that they received Buddhism from Asoka's missionary efforts, missionary activities. And they say that Suvarnabhumi is, last time also we talked about this, Suvarnabhumi is golden land, is none other than Burma. And Thailand, they say Suvarnabhumi is part of their country too. So Asoka sent missionaries, Sona and Uttara, 2 monks, to Suvarnabhumi, wherever the land is. So it should be Burma and Thailand. It is better to believe that part of Burma and part of Thailand. So during that time on, Buddhism was present in that country, and you know, with the traditional indigenous beliefs, and at the beginning also Mahayana Buddhism was present. Theravada Buddhism mingled with Mahayana, and later they became Theravada. So in Burma also very interesting, very powerful practice. Politically also Buddhism is very powerful over there because of the recent army thing going on, you know, what do you call the military rule over almost 50 years, perhaps. Buddhism was challenged over there, but some of the military leaders, they supported Buddhism. You see in the media today about the negative side of Buddhism over there, monks fighting with the government, with the military leaders. Those things are there in the Western media is always, you know, focusing those things and highlighting democracy and other things. Yes, that is true. But the monks and Buddhist followers, they are trying to safeguard, protect their land, their heritage. In other words, Buddhist lineage. So that clash is always there. So if you talk about the history, in Burma, you find the archaeological and epigraphical, you know, epigraphy means inscriptions, epigraphical evidence to show that Buddhism was present in Myanmar from 5th century. And a very interesting thing is, you know about Tripitaka, and you find the oldest available Tripitaka written in golden plates is present in Burma. It's found in Burma, nowhere else. The oldest one. Even though Tripitaka was written down in Sri Lanka, we have, Sri Lanka has later evidence, archaeological evidence. But in Burma, you find the golden plates where the sutras were written down, not the complete Tripitaka, but some parts of it. So that means it has the archaeological evidence to show that Buddhism was present in that country in the 5th century CE, Common Era. And that is the rough background. You can find more information online. And the other interesting country is Vietnam. Vietnam also talk about the presence of Buddhism from the early history. You know, Vietnam has North and South division for a long time. Northern part, where Hanoi and Hanoi is the capital. So northern part is more, they had more influence from China. Chinese influences in the northern part, and in the southern part, the Indian, Cambodian, that influence is there, even today. So Buddhism was there very interestingly. From China, they got Mahayana Buddhism, and in the southern side, they got Theravada Buddhism. That is why in that country you find these two traditions mingled and living. They are very powerful Buddhist influence in that country. But you know, in the history, of course, under communist rule, and also the Vietnam War in the 20th century, in the latter part of the 20th century, because of these things, Buddhism was challenged there. Monks were killed. Monks were, you know, politically in the Buddhist history, nowhere else you see this type of thing, that monks, it's called self-immolation. They put fire onto themselves and die in protest. It's as a way of showing protest to the government and the leadership. They killed themselves by setting fire on them. That's called self-immolation, which is very powerful thing to do. If you commit suicide that way to arouse the, you know, to get the world attention, a lot of monks did that in Vietnam because of these military rules and, you know, communist rule, to show their anger, to show their protest. The monks killed themselves like that in that history. And then in 1975, when Saigon is the southern part, nowadays we call Ho Chi Minh. 1975, with Saigon also came under communist rule. And after that, big problem, because communist rule did not like to support Buddhism or any other religion for that matter. They are atheists, non-religious, like non-religion. So even though that aspect is there, Vietnamese people were able to maintain their Buddhist heritage throughout the country, not just one part, throughout the country. You know, Vietnam is a very big country in a way, and very big population, about 95, 96 million people today. 95, 96 million means a big amount. And also, you know, in the history, America lost, USA lost the war to Vietnam. That means they were very shrewd. Their tactics, their strategy of fighting the army, American army, was so highly recognized by the world. Millions of people were, you know, killed by the American army, and a lot of people, you know, they are called boat people. They flew to other countries, like in here, United States, France, and Europe countries. That is why you see very high percentage of Vietnamese people in Western countries, because of the war, Vietnamese war, they flew. They went out of the country, ran away from the country in boats. So a lot of people died. So very pathetic in that sense. Anyhow, the Vietnamese people could rally together in the Western countries and also preserve the Buddhist heritage wherever they are in. Even in United States, you find Vietnamese people, they maintain their Buddhist culture, Buddhist heritage, establishing different temples and all kinds of things. So that is Vietnam. So to recognize Vietnam as a country in which you find both Theravada and Mahayana Buddhism coexist without any trouble. That's a very interesting thing. Now, when you look at all these countries, these are South and Southeast countries, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, some parts of Vietnam, Laos also. We are not talking about Laos today. All those countries, the religious practices, so this is Theravada Buddhism in those countries. So they have the Theravada way of practice. In Theravada countries, you find Buddhist meditation in Myanmar, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and other countries. You have a Buddhist meditation, Vipassana meditation, insight meditation. Very, in Thailand and in Myanmar in the 20th century, leading monks popularized the Vipassana meditation. Even the lay people were engaged in practicing Buddhist meditation, and it became a powerful force. Even today, you find Western countries also, they have the what you may call the Vipassana meditation practice, popular among monks as well as lay people. And the other very important thing is in all these countries, on one side, they have the Buddhist practice, meditation practice, and the other thing is merit-making aspect. Merit-making means because we are in the, what you may call the samsara, cycle of birth and death. So if you want to get rid of the ills in the samsara, bad things in the samsara, you have to make good merits. Merits will make you happier, your life will become lighter, and you will get all kinds of things if you do a lot of merits. That's why in these countries, all these Buddhist countries, they are very fond of doing meritorious activities, merit-making activities, like doing donations, offering foods, providing other requisites to monks and taking care of them, going to temples, visiting the monks, building temples, pagodas, and all those things, merit-making activities. And all these countries. The other important thing is they have in their Buddhist calendar some festivals, Buddhist festivals. All these countries celebrate some Buddhist festivals. The greatest of them is Vesak. Vesak is the celebration of Buddha's birthday, his enlightenment, and his great passing away. All these three events, triple events in the Buddha's life, are celebrated in the month of May, in the month of full moon day of May, actually. All these countries, this is the highest Buddhist festival celebrating the Buddha's life. So they have different kinds of things according to their culture. They have different kinds of practices, religious activities, merit-making activities, enjoying the things, and celebration. And the other very important festival is what you may call in the rainy season, starting from July up until the end of October, July to October. All these countries, the monks observe what you may call the rains retreat, Vassa. And that time, all the monks in these countries, they observe the retreat, they remain in their temples, and do not travel so much. And then at the end of the rains retreat, the big celebration is called Katina, robe offering ceremony. The people prepare robes and then they offer to the monks. With it culminates. It's the culmination of the 3 months completion of the 3 months retreat. So they are happy, and one of the great way to make merits. So people are really interested in offering something to the temple in all these countries. Robe is the most important thing. Besides robes, other requisites to the temple, people flock to temples and they celebrate the Katina or the Vassa. That is one of the biggest celebrations in all these countries, South and Southeast Asian countries. And the other, New Year. We in the Western world, we have New Year on the January 1st. But in all these Buddhist countries, they have the New Year in the mid-April, April 14, 13, and 14. All these countries, they celebrate the Sangkron. They call different names. They use different names, but that is the New Year. That is also a big celebration. It's a national and religious celebration for all these countries. Everything is connected with Buddhism. Then those are the 3 big celebrations. And other than that, there are many other cultural events and things. And monk is a very important asset in these countries. They respect the monks. They venerate the monks. They are the leaders, village leaders, community leaders actually. So monks has a very big place. And in lay life, people always get blessings from the monks. Monks visit the sick people and bless. Monks are also very active in organizing things for people, blessings, chantings, and when you have a wedding, when you have a newborn child, when you have a new business, when you buy a new house, monks play an important role in offering blessings to people, chanting and kinds of things in all these countries, in Theravada countries. And the other important thing is they have what you may call the temporary ordination. Young boys above the age of 7, they spend some time as a monk in the temple. It may vary from 1 week to 3 months. Temporary ordination. Get the practice of the monk's life. They experience that thing in these countries. Sri Lanka is not that following that tradition, but the other countries, Thailand, Myanmar, Burma, and also Cambodia. That's the way of making merit making activity. By becoming a monk for a short period of time, you can regain experience as well as good merits. That is the idea. And in Thailand, of course, if you are not, if you have not been a monk for a short period of time, it's hard for you to find a girl to get married. So that is also one of the features of these countries. practicing prominent features of Buddhism in these countries. So you may be able to find more information online, do some research, and these 3 countries, Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam. Pay attention to these 3 countries in this today's exercise. That we will get the question homework for this week, and with that our lecture comes to an end. So next week, get ready for the finals. And I know some of you have not completed your homework. Some of you have submitted the whole set of homework in one day, which is not bad. But the thing is, but you might not get the complete marks, because those people who have done it on time, so it will be unfair for them. You should understand this thing. So anyhow, you will get your grades according to what according to your performance, and on-time performance will be highly recognized. So remember, those of you who haven't done so, please submit your homework, and midterm, of course, everybody has already submitted. And the next week final is also very important. You have to submit your final on time, otherwise you won't be graded. So thank you very much for the joining of the class. And then if you have any questions, please email me. So hope to see you next week in final exam. Thank you. Stay healthy.